When it comes to sleep, parents have usually tried everything and they're doing everything all, right. The earlier bedtimes, blackout curtains, melatonin, white noise machines, and still, their child is awake for 2, sometimes 3 hours when they clearly desperately need more sleep. If that is your life right now, here's something important that you need to understand. You're not failing at bedtime. Your child is not being difficult. What you're seeing, that exhausted but wired pattern, is a nervous system that is stuck. And no sleep routine, no supplement, no blackout curtains can override a nervous system that is physiologically locked in fight or flight mode. So this video is for parents who are exhausted, not just from the sleepless nights, but from trying everything and still watching their child struggle to rest. So if you feel like you've done everything right and nothing is working, this one might be just for you. So here's what we're covering today: what sleep actually does for your child's brain and body, and why it's so much more than just rest. Why the nervous system, not bedtime habits, actually control whether your child can sleep or not, and how the perfect storm disrupts sleep from the very beginning of a child's life, and what neurologically focused chiropractic care does differently, and why it works when everything still hasn't. I want to share a story of Lila. We have a girl that we're taking care of right now. The funny thing is, when this mom brought us Lila for, she's about 10 years old right now, she wets the bed every single night. And when we started taking care of her, we're only about a week or so into care. One of the first changes that she started noticing is not only is the bedwetting reducing, she's also sleeping through the night. Because this is one of the most prominent changes that actually starts to happen when the nervous system starts becoming regulated. But the reason why we're bringing this up today is because here's a number that actually, should stop most parents dead cold. That approximately 35% of children in the United States apparently are not getting enough sleep. That's more than 1 in 3 kids, guys, starting their day or walking into school just running on empty. And we hear the same story from families every single week. They've tried it all, the routines, the supplements, the schedules, and their child is still exhausted. They're still wired, and they're still not sleeping. And what nobody is telling these parents is that the problem isn't bedtime. Like I said before, the problem actually starts in the nervous system, and it often starts long before bedtime routines were even a factor. So what sleep is actually doing for a child, right? Most parents think of sleep as rest, but sleep is actually one of the most active, productive periods of your child's entire day. Because here's what's actually happening inside a child's brain when they sleep, right? The brain will start to store and consolidate learning, strengthening neural connections and filing away everything from the day. During your sleep, your growth hormone actually spikes, right? Your child literally grow as a sleep. For those of us that have young kids, you know this, like your kid goes to sleep, they're one height, they wake up the next day, they're taller, they're bigger, because that's actually where growth actually happens. See, the immune system itself also is producing infection-fighting cells during sleep. And what is happening in these chronically sleep-deprived kids, we notice that they get sick constantly. Now, the brain is also going to process emotions during what's called the REM cycles, right? Meaning meltdowns and emotional dysregulation are often just a nervous system that's actually not able to hit those cycles and start to run on empty. The body repairs tissues, regulates hormones, restores energy reserves. That's all the fancy talk of saying, turns out that all of our moms and grandmas were right all along. Sleep is actually very, very good for you, right? And I think some of us adults who are watching this are probably like, man, I wish we slept a lot more when we were younger, because for some reason when we're younger, we really don't like to sleep. But when we get a little bit older, man, we wish you could have a little bit more of it, right? But let's focus back on the nervous system, right? Which actually is going to control your sleep and not just your habit. Because the nervous system itself, guys, has a gas pedal, right? Which is called the sympathetic nervous system for stress, alertness, and a brake pedal, which is the parasympathetic nervous system for rest and recovery. And sleep can only happen when the brake wins. So when the vagus nerve is working properly, the body can shift from an on to off at bedtime. When there's interference in the system, what we call subluxation, the brain and body can't communicate or signal clearly. The brake pedal gets overridden by the gas pedal, and your child is stuck in wired even when they're completely exhausted. It's like trying to fall asleep after 3 energy drinks. The body is done, but the nervous system won't allow rest. This becomes a nervous system regulation issue, right? It's not just a bedtime routine or a supplement problem. So now let's talk about how the perfect storm can disrupt sleep from day one. Because a child's pattern of stressors that compound over time is what we in our office and many PX offices around the country call the perfect storm. See, cortisol from prenatal stress during pregnancy can cross over to the placenta, and it starts altering the baby's developing stress response system. And then you add on things like birth interventions like inductions and forceps and vacuum extractions, C-sections, or manual pulling, which can create subluxation in the upper cervical spine, right where the vagus nerve actually exits the skull. This can also affect breech babies too. Now, early childhood stressors like antibiotic use, disrupting gut health, chronic reflux, constipation, and frequent illnesses, they all signal vagus nerve problems and add to the burden on an already challenged system. Dysautonomia, dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system also starts to show up as sleep problems progress because once again, sleep problems are just a symptom of an underlying system that is just disrupted. Because when sleep is chronically disrupted, the effects they reach into every part of a child's development. See, research is starting to show that children with inefficient sleep can present with signs that look identical to ADHD, hyperactivity, impulsivity, and poor attention, because those are what exhaustion looks like in kids, not calm and sleepy. Now, the immune system also can rebuild when your system is running on poor sleep. So these kids, they get in a cycle: illness, antibiotics, gut disruption, which leads to worse vagus nerve connection, leading to worse sleep, more illness, and on and on and on. Memory consolidation also starts to break down. See, memory making learning harder in school. See, the thing is, we know this when this happens to us. We've gone to college, we've gone to school, we've gone to all the different things. We know what happens to us when we don't sleep. It's the same thing, but actually at a much profound level that actually happens to these kids. What starts to happen to them eventually as well, guys, once again, this is just like you guys, emotional regulation starts to fall apart. See, those explosive meltdowns, they're not just attitude, they are just depleted, because chronic sleep deprivation is also strongly linked to depression, because the nervous system doesn't have enough resources to handle normal emotional challenges. Now, the good side is that the neurologically focused chiropractic care that we actually do in this office is designed to restore sleep at the source. See, because neurologically focused chiropractic care, we use precise, gentle adjustments to remove subluxation and stress to allow the nervous system to actually adapt. Because when the subluxation is out of the way, the nervous system can finally shift between sympathetic and parasympathetic mode the way it's designed to, and the vagus nerve can activate properly, initiating and maintaining real sleep cycles. Now, the way we find this in our office is we are going to be using inside scanner technology to measure exactly where the interference in your child or you may be happening, how severe the dysregulation is, and what systems are most affected. So in this office, guys, we're never guessing. That's what we call a shot as strongly as we do. And parents will often tell us that sleep improvements always come first, followed quickly by digestion, fewer illnesses, improved behavior, and more emotional resilience. Because sleep is the foundation that we're going to build this house upon. When your child can access deep restorative sleep, the memory consolidation, the growth hormone, the immune strengthening, emotional process, everything else just starts to follow. So remember, if your child struggles to sleep, remember that your child's struggle to sleep isn't just behavior, right? It isn't something that they'll grow out of. It's a nervous system that is stuck, and there is a path forward. So if you are ready to get to the real root of your child's sleep challenges, reach out to us and our team at Inspire Chiropractic. We have a link below, I believe. There's a link in our bio. Send us a message, schedule directly, give your kids a chance. Come check us out. We'll do great work for you and your family.